This week, Donald Trump called Senator Marco Rubio, among other things, a basket case, a lightweight, a choke artist, and yes, as we heard today, Little Marco. And he was just returning fire after Rubio launched a barrage of attacks against him. I spoke with Rubio Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama, to discuss his new strategy. Senator Rubio, I want to start with the question that a lot of political insiders are asking. Why did you wait so long to go after Donald Trump? I got to assume that all of this stuff was in your Oppo research files for months. Wasn't it a big miscalculation to wait until he got into such a strong position?
No, that's a legitimate and important question. And a couple points. One is we were being attacked by a bunch of other people during this race, so we were responding to that. And the other is I really believed that voters would see through this con job that he's trying to do, and obviously that hasn't happened. He's convinced a lot of people, and now's the time where we have to address it. I believe a first-rate con artist is on the verge of taking over the party of Lincoln and Reagan, and now or never we need to remind people of what's at stake here. We're about to lose the conservative movement to someone who's not a conservative, and the party of Lincoln and Reagan to a con artist.
At a rally this weekend, Trump said that he may ask the judge in the Trump University case, who he mentioned is Hispanic, to recuse himself because he's so hostile. Your reaction to that?
Well, I thought Trump said he was going to win the Hispanic vote. He said he was so popular among the Latinos, so he should actually want to keep him on the case if that's true. This is part of the clown act. This is what happens when someone is caught, like Donald Trump has been, as a con artist. This is a guy, you talked about Trump University earlier in your program, who went to people that were trying to improve their lives and convinced them to come into this program he created. They paid thousands of dollars and they got nothing for it. Now he's trying to pull the ultimate con job, and that is to get a hold of the United States of America. And so he's gone to all these struggling Americans who are really hurting economically, and he's preying upon those fears and those anxieties they have to get them to give him his vote, and he's been successful. This has to end. We cannot allow this guy to become the Republican nominee. The Democrats will tear him to shreds, and we're going to lose the party and the conservative movement, but more importantly, the election. And that means America is going to stay on the road it's on right now, which is the road of decline. All
right. Trump fired back at you in the debate while you were firing at him. He talked about your finances. Here he is.
I've hired tens of thousands of people over my job. You've hired
1,000 people
You've
from
had
another
nothing
company,
but problems
from another
with your
country.
credit cards, etc.
The facts are you used a Republican Party credit card to charge personal expenses. You face foreclosure on a second home that you bought, and last year you cashed out a $68,000 retirement fund. Senator, if Trump's history is fair game, isn't yours?
Yeah, and mine has been examined. The thing about the Republican Party is false. I've paid American Express directly for all of that. But this is what's true. I did not inherit millions of dollars from my father. I've earned everything I've had in life. I've had to work hard for it. I'm not a rich person. I'm not poor, but I'm not rich. And that's fine. This is a great country because I live a life much better than my parents did. Donald, on the other hand, has lived a pampered life. He inherited millions of dollars from his father. There's nothing wrong with that. But he portrays himself as this great businessman. If he had taken that money that he inherited and put it into an index fund on the stock market, he'd have more money than Warren Buffett does right now. But he instead did all these risky ventures, and he's lost a bunch of money. And every time he lost money, subcontractors and the little guy got hit hard by it. Donald Trump has a history of business failures, 4 companies into bankruptcy, which he denied to you, Chris, at the first debate, if you recall. But now he's portraying himself as this great leader that's going to turn the American economy around. If Donald Trump is president, he's not going to make America great. He's going to make America broke, like he did those 4 companies.
All right, let's talk about...
How do you bankrupt the casino?
Let's talk about your record. This week, Nevada Congressman Crescent Hardin endorsed you, but like Rick Santorum, the former senator before him, he had some trouble listing any accomplishment of you during your time in the Senate. Here he is.
Is there one thing you could name over the last year that you've seen firsthand on the Hill that he has done that demonstrates presidential character, to be able to get things done?
On the Hill, I have not seen that. He's been running for a presidential race most of this year.
Senator, why can't officials who support you, who come out to endorse you, name a specific accomplishment of your time in the Senate?
Well, in fairness to these folks, right, they're signing up at the last second. They're inspired by our message. They want to be a part of our team. We haven't provided them all this information. I'm more than happy to tell you about my record. I'm very
Incidentally,
proud of
maybe
it.
you ought to start doing that.
For example,
huh?
we passed sanctions. Yeah, well, we are, and we do, but I mean, obviously you can't make people read something, and these are last-minute things. It's not fair to them. Here's the bottom line. I'm more than happy to talk about our record, and I mean, it's number one, I worked in the Senate where for 4 out of the last 5 years, nothing happened because of Harry Reid. And yet, despite that, I actually worked with Bernie Sanders, who I don't agree on anything, but we were able to work together to bring VA accountability. You can now fire senior executives at the VA because of my work. There are now additional sanctions on Hezbollah because I got the Senate to pass that unanimously, by the way. We passed the Girls Count Act, which goes after human trafficking by leveraging foreign aid from the United States government to ensure that all kids around the world are getting birth certificates so they don't fall prey to modern-day slavery. We led the effort to deal with the Obamacare bailout fund before anyone was talking about that. We were out there leading the effort on that, and today the Obamacare bailout fund is gone. Well, we helped impose sanctions on human rights violators in Venezuela.
Senator,
I'm very proud of what we've done, despite the fact that Washington isn't doing anything.
Senator, one of the things that you don't mention, and I think everybody would say was your biggest accomplishment, was the Gang of Eight comprehensive immigration reform bill that was passed in 2013. Let me ask you a question. Was that a good bill? Was that a reasonable compromise on the immigration problem?
Not as a final package, and I said that at the time, Chris, and if you go back, and we'll provide you that, you'll see that throughout that debate in the Senate, I kept saying over and over, this is the best we can do here in this Senate, run by Harry Reid, but this is going to have to change when it gets to the House. It's not strong enough. I said that repeatedly.
You said you supported the bill after passage, and you said during the fight that it had important reforms that conservatives have been working for years. I mean, you voted for it.
It did. Sure, because it's the best we could do in a Senate run by Harry Reid. And we did get the Democrats to agree on a lot of things conservatives have pushed for, but it wasn't enough. And I warned about that repeatedly. I said, this is now going to go to the House, and they're going to make it even stronger. But here's the good news. When I'm president of the United States, we're not going to do it that way. I don't need to do it Harry Reid's way. We can do it our way, which is we're going to enforce our laws, and we're going to secure our border first. And until we do that, nothing else is going to happen on immigration.
Finally, let's talk about Super Tuesday. I don't have to point out to you, you have not won a state yet. In the polls of all 11 states where people will go to the polls on Tuesday, you are trailing. If you go through Super Tuesday and you still haven't won a state, can you still be a viable candidate?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, Super Tuesday is going to award a lot of delegates, and we're going to pick up a lot of delegates. Here's the bottom line. You need 1,237 delegates to be the Republican nominee. Donald Trump will never have that number of delegates. I don't care how long I have to work. I'll go to all 50 states and every territory. He will never get those delegates. I am going to get those delegates, and I will be the Republican nominee. You could go 0 for 15, and you could still be the nominee. We're going to pick up a lot of delegates this week.
You could still be 0 for 15 and
because we're going to pick up a lot of delegates. Sure. And that's not the plan, by the way, but sure. I mean, absolutely we can, because we're going to pick up a lot of delegates, and we're going to pick up a lot of delegates next week. And then come March 15th, I expect this race will be significantly narrowed. More Americans will now know the truth about Donald Trump after we've spent 2 weeks banging away on it, and people will see what they're about to fall con to. And then we are going to start winning states when the states start awarding all of their delegates, and that includes Florida. We feel very optimistic about that, now more than ever, especially.
Senator Rubio, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Safe travels on the campaign trail, sir.
Thank you.